All right, cool. Hi. So we will be going over the React homework that's due on Thursday, which is, I believe, the 11th. Let me check on that real quick. It should be the 11th. Yes, it is. So this homework will be due on the 11th. Lucky for the students, this will only be front end, no back end whatsoever. Congratulations, you can only build your React applications that you wanted. And when you finish building it, you will deploy it as always, not through Heroku this time, but a new place called Netlify. So something new to show for you guys to show off for deployment measures. So always something cool to see. All right, with that in mind, I will show the React homework, and then we will talk about the MongoDB checkpoint and go through each one. So Rick and Morty used to be the cool thing for every, oh wait, hold on, I forgot to share. Share the screen, Google Chrome. Yes. Right. So the game is called the Clicky Game, and basically it is for the demonstration purposes, it'll be Rick and Morty. The idea is you would click, and as long as you do not click on the same character, your points will still go up until you hit the same character. And then the game will reset, and you want to beat your top score. It's a little bit different from the Hangman game. It's not going to keep track of your wins and losses. It's just worried about your top score. So let's begin. So let's see how smart I am, because I actually never played this. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Two more, hold on. 11? All right. So you saw this screen shake. The top score is still remaining the same. I actually don't know if it says like you win if you get all 12. I've never had the brain cells to do this. But kind of understand the idea, right? So the question behind this would be, how many components are you going to have? We can kind of imagine, you know, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 components at the very minimum, right? The nav bar, the main container page, the footer, if you want to have a separate footer for whatever reason, and then the cards, which you will serve onto that container page. We can see that the states are going to matter because the scores are updating, and the top score is going to stay on a similar path on the top score until you refresh. So we can already see basically a few ideas pop up before. When you click, it's going to set the state to something new. And the score column on the first one will continue to update. It's going to continue to set a new state as we climb, as long as we're guessing correctly. But the top score will stop changing once we guess incorrectly, and it'll stay the same until we beat the score anew. So that's the game. Let's see. So this one might not have to record. 1 second. We will go over just the instructions real quick. What I noticed is that some of our students tend to not read through all the instructions of activities and the like. So I want to go through that just to make sure. New share. I'm just going to share the desktop. So this application should render different images of your choice to the screen, like I mentioned, and it should listen to the click events. You're going to keep track of the score, and every time a new image is clicked, it's going to render it's going to basically shuffle all the images around, as we saw, and then when you're wrong, it's going to shake the screen. So that's the entire thing. And yeah, this assignment must be deployed, and it should guide you through how to deploy through Netlify on here. And if not, let us know, or deploy to Heroku if none of us get back to you guys on time. So that is the homework. Are there any questions before we move on to the checkpoint? Any tips? I don't know, I can't tell you. So My very first tip is go over the very last activity. I think it's activity 33. Yeah, activity 33 on week 19. Similarly, I think it was activity 3 of this week where we first introduced you guys to component and mount. Those two would probably be the best helps. If we are unable to deploy through the new one and decide to do it through Heroku, will we get points taken off? I don't believe so. It should be perfectly fine. It's just we encourage you to go through Netlify. Also, can you explain the new one? Yeah, sure. I've actually never done it, so let's check it out. So Netlify. I thought the instructions said deploy to GitHub pages. You can't deploy. That's just the instructions just being copy pasted. You cannot deploy through GitHub pages because remember, create React app. The way the server start or the way the engine starts is through npm start, and that's actually why you can't deploy things on GitHub if it uses node packages. So you would get started for free. You can tell that I've actually never used the service. I skipped this and went to AWS. Simple deploy, cool. So yeah, all right, cool. So it looks like all you have to do is drag in your GitHub repo and you're done. Good job, you deployed it. Any questions? I'll give it like 30 more seconds and then I will jump over to the checkpoint. Awesome, thanks for the run through. No problem. All right, so let's go over the checkpoint. Remember, the checkpoints are not worth for your grades or anything like that. It's more of a reflection of us as instructors and TAs to see whether you guys fully understood the content. Obviously, please let us know if you don't fully understand the content, and we'll get back to you as much as we can. You know, if we're not in class, and obviously if you're in class, please ask questions. That's what you pay us for, especially me. So yeah. All right. What is MongoDB? MongoDB is a very popular NoSQL database. And if there's anything that you want me to stop on, just type in stop, and I'll just read the chat, and then I'll stop there, and then you can type out your question that way. So yeah, what is MongoDB? MongoDB is a very popular NoSQL database, right? Because it does not need any schemas. It does not need columns and rows that we are accustomed to seeing with MySQL. That's one of the advantages of using MongoDB, that we don't have to set up a certain schema right off at the beginning. There's more flexibility. MongoDB stores data in BSON, right? Which is just their way of storing JSON just with the B. I'm sure it means something, but I totally forgot it. Number 3, Mongo databases are composed of one or more collections, each of which is composed of one or more documents, right? Again, this all comes back into, this is what we call databases for collection, for MongoDB, we call it collections, and then the tables would be in reference to the documents, if I remember correctly. Mongodb or MongoD, whichever you want to call it, must be running in order to be able to connect to any local Mongo database. So remember, what you want to do to make your lives easier is you want to open a separate terminal. You want to have MongoD running there, and then you want to open a brand new terminal. You want to leave that in the background and start your Mongo development there if you want to work it all off the terminal. But I'm sure that a lot of you guys recognize that doing MongoDB off the terminal is a little bit more tedious because of the way it's basically organizing a JSON. So yeah, you always want to have it running in the background, and please shut it off when you're done. It does take up quite a bit of your memory, and it'll heat up your computer like nobody's business. Number 5, the Mongo shell command to switch to a database is called books, is use books, right? Nothing new so far. So basically, we want to go into a database, we would do use and then the name of the database. If you want to check your collections or your database or whatever, you would do show db semicolon. So to see the name of the currently selected database in the Mongo shell, we use the command db, like I said. So to see all of them would be show. But if you want to see the specific current database that you're in, you would just type in db. The insert parentheses method is used to add a new document. Again, if we are getting confused in this, all we would have to do is open up MongoDB documentation. Their documentation is amazing. My internet is a little bit slower because I'm recording, but it's fine. Whether I could either search and insert, right? Insert documents as insert one, but for now, if we just want to insert all, then we're going to guess that we could do insert many or insert as general. Or if we're just looking into this documentation, we're like, okay, where can we start? Where did it go? I want to be in their docs, sorry. We're just looking for a easy start. We'll just go into getting started and go through the idea here. Okay. Number 8, locating data. A database must be queried using the find method. Again, if we get stuck in documentation, we would just refer back to, if we get stuck in syntax, we would just refer back to the documentation at hand and just start digging around. And I think everybody knows .find parentheses and then .pretty if we want to see it as a nice organized JSON format off the terminal. Modifying data. The update method is used to modify a document, right? So it will be similar to the update table that you guys are used to in MySQL. Or yeah, MySQL, nothing new. So the remove method is used to delete documents. Again, if we need to look at it, we can look through the documentation there. Removing collections, right? So it's the step above. It will be removing basically the database. We will do drop parentheses, not just drop that we would do off the terminal without the parentheses. A database can be removed and its data deleted using the drop database method. Again, documentation kind of thing. These questions are mostly documentation related or syntax related. Each document has a unique object ID stored in the blank field that acts as a primary key. So we all know the concept of primary keys that we learned from MySQL, right? It's the way that we can reference back to specific columns and rows in the database or in the table. But we do have to set something as a primary key. An interesting thing about MongoDB is that it is semi-difficult to customize your own IDs for MongoDB. Wow, my voice cracked. They actually removed that feature a while back. I actually ran into issues with that when I was doing my development. So this _ID is a hash-coded unique ID, like all the jumbled up letters and words that you guys are probably used to seeing at this point. It is for security purposes, but yeah, that's kind of the point of this one. So something to keep in mind. And remember, all of these documentation, all this syntax does matter because your final project will require you to use MongoDB, unless instructor discretion. Number 14, query results ordering. The order of query results is specified using the sort method. Remember how we could organize things from -1 to 1 or et cetera, et cetera. So again, syntax documentation related. For making a connection, the MongoJS npm package requires the database URL and the collection's name. Again, if we run into problems with this, what we can do is we can refer back to, but this is an npm package, MongoJS. Excuse me. Click. I'm going to scroll down. Hey, VarDB connection string collections. And that would be the database URL and the collection names. Alrighty. And there's all these examples, right? So see how if it's on a remote server. So basically, your ID will be localhost / the name of your collection. Mongoose. Remember, Mongoose is the equivalent of an ORM or ODM, object document mapping. One of the major benefits of Mongoose is to permit the developers to define models from Mongo data. I think we all discussed how one of the things about MongoDB, yes. Oh, English was hard. MongoDB is that we cannot set a schema in the beginning. Mongoose provides us that ability to set up those schemas through the models. So a big advantage there if we have set data that we do want to set it to, and then that way we can just reference it back to those models later on. By default, Mongoose uses callback functions to handle what happens after performing a query. This can be switched to promises for cleaner code. The entire purpose of callback functions and promises, again, is so that when we have asynchronous calls, that your function that requires the data to run will not run until the data that you requested has already returned to your server or to your page. And remember, this is important so that when you are loading your website for those few milliseconds or seconds, if you have huge data coming in, you're not left with an undefined that you return back. You're actually returning some measure of data, even if it takes a few more seconds for your page or for your server to run. And promises is the ES6. I do recommend learning this. Like you can see immediately that I also took the time to read all this. I can Slack this out if anybody would like it. But learning promises and learning how to write it will always help you with your development. And it will make you look cooler. A lot cooler. So yeah, I'll Slack this out after the meeting. Number 18, defining the model. A data model can be created using the schema constructor. Again, the entire purpose of Mongoose is, hey, if I have a schema, I know that I have this set amount of data organization that I want to use, then I would definitely use Mongoose to make my life easier. Combining collections. Collections can be combined similar to MySQL joins using the populate mongoose method. Remember, one of the things that we talked about MongoDB being an issue, or not an issue, but a different way to do it, is that it is a non-relational database. Whether it's for speeding purposes or just the way that it was coded, there's all different reasons for it. But what Mongoose provides is the ability to combine tables through populate, which is a huge advantage if you have tons of data that you want to combine and organize in order to either sort through or to display. Finally, last question, linking object IDs to model. With Mongoose, the ref property can be used to link object IDs to a particular model. So I'm not super sure what that means, so I'm going to go to Mongoose documentation ref. Let's see what it's like. Model one-to-many relationships with document references. Cool. I'm here. I'm going to type in ref. Oh God, there's 12 of them. Please God help me. See. Oh, that definitely didn't help me. 1 second. Whew. The ref property again. Thank God I typed fast. Oh, okay. So I was in the right place. Yeah. Oh, never mind. This is the right place. So we're just going to look up Control F, ref, around. Wait, I think I jumped over. Yeah. Saving refs to other documents works the same way you normally just assign the ID value, right? So what we are setting is we are setting a new ID value through the ref property. So cool. I learned something new. This is the ability to basically populate your information through through the original IDs that, remember, you set up in the beginning, right? Because MongoDB creates unique IDs, and this is the ability to connect them through IDs, if you were to choose. Yeah, so that's the entire checkpoint. Again, the video and everything like that will be uploaded on YouTube in maybe like an hour or so. I don't know how long it will take for the upload. Are there any last-minute questions or anything else in regards to the checkpoint or the React homework? I'll give you guys like a minute if you have anything to type. If not, I will end the recording, and then you guys can ask me questions for like 10, 15 minutes, disregarding those ones. So give it like 30 seconds. If we are all okay, thank you very much for attending. And yeah, I will upload the video as soon as it is done. Thank you very much.